I have been to hell and yap, 49 countries and hundreds of cities in between. And I have found that there are truth or consequences if you dingle in dildo. And if you come by chance to find yourself in goobies, all you can really do is St. Louis de Haha. I have a passion for travel, and I love photography. Normally, this takes hold as representations of magnificent vistas from Everest to the Grand Canyon, iconic architecture from the Louvre to Sydney's Opera House, and people, always the beautiful people, from Aitutaki to Zagreb and everywhere in between. These are the treasures that I bring home. But I also learned at an early age to pay attention to the signs, to observe, and to watch. Now, as a traveler, signs are imperative to make sure you're on the right route. Specific driving tips like this from Haleakala in Maui: turn on headlights in the clouds. Okay. Safety tips like this in Newfoundland: don't mess with the moose. And critical airport directions like from Croatia. Right, left, I'm not sure. Did they just want me not to run into the pole? I can't tell. Or establishment hours. That's always important when you're traveling. This is from Cuba. Huh. I'm not sure exactly when they're open, but it's okay because I can't smoke, can't bring food, can't bring what I think is an ice cream cone or a pet. So all of these things don't necessarily work. I learned to pay attention to the signs when I was young. I had the pleasure of living in the Philippines for a year as an exchange student, and I attended UP Los Baños. At Christmas, my parents came to visit, and we took a family trip to Ilocos Norte in the northern part of the main island of Luzon. On our trip, my father spotted a sign on the side of the road, and we had to stop so he could take a photograph. Drive cautiously, coffin very costly. It's good advice, it's very true, and it's shaped my perspective and my awareness as I've traveled from then on. Sometimes it's a very small difference, just a little cultural phrase that can change things, like this road sign also in the Philippines: hump ahead. In the Philippines, they call them speed humps, not speed bumps. It still makes me giggle a little bit. Sometimes the signs are actually there for a purpose to really guide you on your way. In the US Virgin Island, the island of St. John, the roads are carved into the mountainside and they weave rather randomly around the whole island. There are these massive dips, though, that they warn you so that you, in a rental car, don't go too fast and have part of that said rental car fall off, like the rear view mirror, for example. So there are these signs everywhere that say dip, but the locals have taken to up their game a little bit and provide a little bit of entertainment. So on St. John, you will find signs for clam dip, stinky donkey dip, skinny dip, serendipity, and of course the ever famous dipstick. So as not to be left out, they've also embellished the local stop signs. We start with the holy version of "thou shalt stop," and then move into various pop culture references. Can't stop, won't stop, stop, hammer time, stop in the name of love, and of course the ever famous don't stop believin'. I'm sure it makes it very easy to argue a traffic violation on St. John. Officer, I swear it said don't stop. Well, driving stick shift on the left-hand side of the road in Ireland with my 76-year-old mother, she kindly reminded me, and often, that, dear, your mirror is about an inch from that stone wall, as I precariously tried to pass cars on the narrowest roads known to man. Yet somehow in Ireland, they still think I could take this corner at 100 kilometers an hour. And that is followed by, not preceded by, followed by the warning sign that says, careful, don't drive off the cliff if you took that at 100 kilometers. Sometimes it's just a business with a great sense of humor, like this one my mother and I also encountered on our recent trip to Nova Scotia. Lolas, proud to be hookers. Now, I'm not sure, are those men the hookers? Are they exposing themselves somehow to the horizon? Or is it the dog? I don't really want to know. What I'm happy about, though, is that I pulled over and I was able to zoom out and get a little context, because in actuality, of course, they make hooked rugs. Should have known better. Meanwhile, in New Zealand, Jesus is for lease. So I called. Turns out I need to sign an agreement to rent this beautiful facility for a minimum of 1 year in order to get that connection. But I can say it's been worth it. Heading back to the Caribbean, sometimes the signs are a great indication of local culture, like this on a restaurant in Virgin Gorda. Open most days about 9 or 10, occasionally as early as 7, but sometimes as late as 12 or 1. We close about 5:30 or 6, but sometimes as late as 11 or 12. Some days we might not be here at all, but lately we've been here just about all the time, except when we're someplace else, but we should be here then too. This perfectly sums up island life. I was on Virgin Gorda for an Easter festival that was culminating in a massive reggae concert. It was supposed to start at 10 p.m., so not wanting to be the keen tourist, I arrived at 11:30. The field was empty. So I ate some food and drank some rum and ate some food and drank some rum, wondered when the concert might possibly start. I really wanted to see the fourth act in the lineup, but by 3 a.m., when the second act was just taking the stage, I decided I couldn't wait any longer and I went home. The next morning on my way to the Easter parade, which was supposed to start at noon, I learned that the fourth act actually took the stage at 6 a.m., so I'm glad I gave up. I didn't, however, learn the lesson, so I'm waiting for the parade to start. About 3 p.m., there are still people literally building their floats. So it's important to pay attention to the signs, both written and observed. Sometimes signs are just about giving you safety advice. Skinny people are easy to kidnap. Stay safe, eat pizza. I never would have known that my curves would actually be a safety precaution. Or this from Malta, this advice on love. Non se vino de solo amore, se vuole anche la carbonara. You can't live with only love, you need also carbonara. In Nepal, the menus were a source of great entertainment. Now, let me start by saying, I in no way judge anyone who struggles to translate something into the English language, because there is absolutely no way I could write a menu in Nepalese or Tagalog or French, or for that matter. So my mocking comes from a place of love and appreciation and entertainment. On the way to Namo-Buddha, I encountered this wonderful sign, this restaurant, that featured on its menu happy burgers, testy sandwiches, and of course, more you likes. Not to be outdone, further down the hill, I came across the Funky Buddha Cafe, and on their menu, they featured snakes, AKA snacks, of buff chili and finger chili. Now, I had come to believe that finger chili was actually a rite of passage in Nepal. They have no central heating. So literally everywhere you go, you see people with little fires outside trying desperately to warm themselves. The guest house I was staying in had no heat at all, except for a small heating pad on the bed that proved rather ineffective during the frequent power outages. So there's no way I would go to a restaurant and actually order chili fingers or finger chili, as the case may be. Staying in Asia, in Thailand, I learned that people are very direct about what your rights are and what is going to be included and not included, and they state it clearly. In the first hotel I stayed in, I was informed that our room service orders are very low. The management are unable to operate with high expenses. Please apologize for your inconvenience. Followed by, after 24-30 hours, there will be no staff or security personnel opening the room for you. No one is able to recognize your face. You must wait in the lobby until 6:30 a.m. And just in case you thought if something went wrong, maybe I could ask for a deduction, they're clear about that too. Please be informed that there are some constructions around the hotel which makes a loud noise and out of hotel authority. Anyway, it may not make your stay happy, but it will not be a subject to ask for room rate deduction and complaint. Very clear. This is a lot like the Thailand I experienced, for sure. They laid it out in writing, but everywhere I went. The first hotel I stayed in, I accidentally broke a wine glass, and upon checkout, they charged me $50 US for said glass. I went on a snorkeling trip, and you know how you line up to sign the waiver that says if I happen to drown, I won't sue the dive company? Well, I stood in the line, and as I waited to literally sign my life away, I got there, and actually the disclaimer was, if I lose the mask, it's $50. If I lose the snorkel, it's $25. And if I should lose the flippers, that's $60. Apparently they don't care if I died. I just need to hand off my equipment before I go down. Having been to Hawaii more than 20 times, on a recent trip, I discovered that I'd been doing it all wrong. I'd been flying, and clearly I could have just taken the elevator to the US mainland. In London, I struggled to find the loo, and then I learned why. Apparently, they're lined up by day of the week. This is the Sunday toilet only. Makes pubbing rather difficult. In North Vancouver, you have a choice: bakery, yoga, yoga, bakery. Can't do both, have to choose between. And then it comes to local services. You can get a lucky haircut, or you can see your therapist. In Nepal, I had a manicure. And I realized we've been doing it all wrong. Manicure, one finger at a time. Let's go for the manicure. On Kingsway, I stumbled on a big sale for bra and underwear. I'm not sure if those are kind of like undergarments, but not quite. I'm not really sure. And then this cleaner that opened up on Venables. It's newly opened 4 years ago, but it still has a sale on for a 2-piece suite for $17. Now, is that the couch and chair? I'm never really sure. I have had the pleasure of traveling the world. I've had a lot of humorous engagements and encounters with people and signs and animals, but that's another speech. But I also try and always ask myself, what did you learn today? And so in a lot of my travels, I've also stumbled on very profound statements, like this in Cuba. Todos los hechos tienen tres razones, la mía, la tuya, y la verdad. Each fact has 3 reasons, mine, yours, and the truth. And if you can embrace this, a local dentist promises you'll have no hurt feelings. In these challenging times, it's really important to focus on the fact that difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. Destinations with free hugs, good food, good friends, good times. And if you can focus on that and embrace this sign, your life will have a greater purpose, and you'll remember that time is precious.